by thanking you all for coming out tonight to listen to my remarks. It is always a pleasure to be here at the Western Club. I think I have missed maybe one or two in the entire time that I've been in office. It's always a friendly, hospitable group. I also want to thank Sartiques for their excellent food as always and for hosting this. And I'm happy that Ms. Talcott is here to videotape my comments, and knowing Barbara, she'll probably have this online before I even get home this evening. I'm going to mix government and politics in my remarks. I'm going to start by talking about a phone call I received yesterday afternoon from our state controller, Peter Francho, who was very nice to call because he apparently found out he had missed my birthday last week and called to wish me a happy birthday. He said he heard something about thousands of people wishing me a happy birthday on Facebook last week on the day of the snowstorm, which is now going to be an annual holiday every February 13th. But what he really, seriously, what he called about was he wanted to let me know that folks at the state are watching our county very closely. I think we all know that. We've read about that in the paper. And he had some very kind things to say about me, in which he said that I represent, along with several others, the transition of Charles County. And I agree with him that 2010 was the beginning of change for Charles County government. And I think with some of the candidates who have announced their intention to run for commissioner this time, you may see additional change. And I think change is good. I know that the infamous 3-2 votes have gotten a lot of people kind of frustrated and upset with local government, but I think that there are actually good things about the 3-2 vote. Because prior to 2010, just about every vote in the commissioner's wing during commissioner meetings was 5-0. And that's not democracy, that's the Soviet Politburo. So I think that everyone's voice is being heard. Now, granted, I don't often like being on the side of a 3-2 vote, and it can get frustrating at times, but the good news is that the message is getting out there. And having that too, with, let's call it what it is, it's Commissioner Kelly and myself that are generally the two on the minority side, but it has prevented some bad things, in my opinion, from taking place. Where's 3-2 been bad? 3-2 has been bad in contributing to the overcrowding of schools. And I say that because every time a developer comes before the commissioners buying a school seat for schools that are already overcrowded, it's passing 3-2. We've got to take a deep breath before we're going to grow. Growth is inevitable, but we need to manage it correctly. And I don't think purchasing school seats through loopholes is a way to get that done. Where is the 3-2 a good thing? Well, you know, you've heard a lot about the comp plan, you've heard a lot about the tier maps, but what you haven't heard is that either one of those documents has been passed. Yes, it's the 2012 comp plan and we're into 2014, and a defining moment took place on October 29th of last year, and that was the public hearing on the comprehensive plan. I knew that we would get a lot of people coming out. When I walked through those doors and saw people sitting in the balcony, I was blown away. Not only was I blown away by the number of people, but who they were and what they had to say. And you know, there's a developer lobby, BGI, that has spent a lot of money and a lot of effort in representing the interests of what I would refer to as a noisy minority, but they've been successful up to that point. They specifically spent money on radio, on newspapers, on direct mail, on phone calls to get people out for the October 29th hearing. And what happened? They represented barely a third of the people who showed up to speak. In the comments that came afterwards, they were basically a blip. There were over 2,000 people who let us know that they don't want the county to grow that way. There were 30 letters in support of the draft comprehensive plan. Now, I personally think that as commissioners, as your elected officials, whether you like the decisions we make or not, we need to make them. And that's why at the end of that evening, I did make the motion that we reject the comprehensive plan and send it back to the Planning Commission and revisit it. Well, that plan failed 3-2, but subsequently, no motion has ever been made to pass that plan. You've seen the Committee of Six, the Committee of Six white guys, which I found insulting. on a lot of different levels. I found it insulting mostly not because of the makeup of the group of 6, but the fact is, you elected us to make these decisions. You didn't elect 6 outsiders to come up with a plan for how this county grows in the future. But I think that, you know, the thousands of people who showed up and the very strong opposition of 2 has scared my colleagues into making a wrong decision. And, you know, I jokingly said at the end of that hearing, when I asked the county attorney if I could keep the record open until 2018, I couldn't, but here we are now in 2014 talking about the 2012 comprehensive plan, and all of this delaying has also brought it into the political arena because we're 4 months away from the primary. I'm not expecting anything definitive to happen before this primary because I think it's political suicide for anybody who votes to pass this plan. This is not just environmentalists. These are parents. These are folks like you and me. These are people who care about the one issue that affects us all, quality of life. And that encompasses everything and everyone, and it's all interrelated. So I think that, you know, having a voice, a minority, a loyal minority, if you will, has been beneficial to the county. But we're at that moment of change. We started it in 2010. We have to finish it in 2014. We have some excellent candidates for commissioner running. A lot of newcomers. 4 years ago, I was that newcomer. I'm still not used to the fact that I walk into Safeway and people actually know who I am. But one thing I will say about this county, it doesn't matter where people lie politically. They can be Republicans, Democrats, left of center, right of center. Everyone in this county is so nice to me. And that says so much about the makeup of the people who we represent. No one has ever said a bad word to me. My wife is very, very good at determining who I really know and who I'm faking to know. Because if I'm walking down the aisle in Safeway and a woman comes up to me, Ken, gives me a big hug, and then she'll walk away and Cheryl will say, you have no idea who that was, do you? And I said, no, how can you tell? And she said, because when it is somebody, you'll say, this is my wife Cheryl, and this is... But it's such a compliment to be recognized in such a positive way. It makes this county just a wonderful place to be living in and representing the folks here. You know, they say that the commissioners from districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 are part-time. I have never treated this as a part-time job. For me, not only is it full-time, it's a 24/7 job. Many of you in this room follow me through social media. I've used my experience in the news business to run my Facebook page like a news service for you folks. It's interactive. I don't just post stuff and then walk away. Someone asks me a question, I'm there. So transparency and accessibility and accountability have always been very, very important to me. I'm very proud of some of the things, despite the controversies, that have moved forward since I took office at the end of 2010. A lot of you know that the Harry Nice Bridge has been a pet project of mine, a pet project with a lot of frustration. And you're aware that the state government has now earmarked $55 million, and that's a significant sum towards eventually replacing the Nice Bridge. But what's more important about that $55 million is it has gotten us on federal radar. I had a meeting with Senator Cardin a couple of weeks ago, and you know they're also in a political season, but he was very confident that after the 2014 midterm elections, that we will start to see federal funds towards actually replacing that span. And that's going to be great for traffic, it's going to be great for economic development, it's going to be great for homeland security because, let's face it, the Nice Bridge is the only bridge that crosses the Potomac south of Alexandria and Oxon Hill. So it's a very important artery. I've been working for the last 3 years to get us a new rail trail. And we just got the funding from the federal government that will result in a rail trail that will be over on the south side of La Plata, that will run on an old spur of the Pope's Creek Railroad that will run from Route 301 down to the Potomac River, about a 3-mile span, and it goes over Pope's Creek, and it's got this old trestle, and it is just spectacular land. And we're hoping it's really going to be about 2 years before people will be able to enjoy that. And the really cool thing about the Pope's Creek Rail Trail is it will give access for our citizens to the Potomac River, because it'll go down to the river, and included there, if you're familiar with the old building next to Captain Billy's, the old Smeco power plant, we're going to purchase that as part of this and renovate it, and probably have a visitor center there with a boardwalk having access to the water. So that's really important. We have 200 miles of shoreline in this county. Most of it's privately owned. This will be an opportunity to open up the river. Other accomplishments, if you will, the 4th college campus for the College of Southern Maryland, which could have wound up in Calvert or St. Mary's County, will be in Hughesville, which will help that village's revitalization plans immensely. Groundbreaking is going to be very soon, and I'm told by Dr. Gottfried, the president of CSM, he expects students to be actually on that campus by the end of 2015. That's not that far away. So they have a very aggressive schedule. I'm flattered by the endorsements that I've received, the early endorsements. I am the only candidate in any primary election in the state of Maryland that has received the endorsement for re-election by Governor O'Malley, and I cannot tell you how much that means to me. In addition, I've already received the endorsement of the Education Association of Charles County, the teachers union. I've tried to be as diverse to different interests as possible, and I think if I can get the governor to support me and the teachers, and I'm expecting the same from the Fraternal Order of Police and others, that I'm doing my job of reaching out to every different group that makes our county a special place to live. We've got a great education system. We've got a very safe county. But we need to keep it that way. We need to retain it. And that's why it's not always about new stuff. It's about retention. Mr. Bowling, who you'll meet in a few minutes, is a police officer in Prince George's County. I want our residents to not have to go to other counties to make their living, but they do have to. The pay is better. We're lucky that we live in the National Capital Region, because then there are a lot of other choices. But I would love to see residents from other counties saying, I really want to work in Charles. I really would prefer that I take a lot of questions, so I'm going to wrap this up with just one other kind of pet peeve that I have. And that kind of impacts the area where we are right now, and that's the Cross-County Connector. I have no idea why it's still out there. I don't understand why some of my colleagues and some of those running for office don't understand that no is no. And not only did the Maryland Department of the Environment deny it, but when the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers denies something, it's pretty much time for me to wrap up. Welcome, Commissioner Candace Kelly. Thank you for coming. It's time for a reality check. We have infrastructure problems in this county. We have traffic problems in this county. Everyone knows our problems in traffic are north-south, not east-west. It's delusional to think that this road that was planned and denied was going to do anything more than encourage more sprawl development. And it's not just the environmentalists who don't want that road. As I mentioned to you, it's a coalition now of everyone who feels the same way about the same quality of life issues in this county. The road is dead, and we have a lot of money that's freed up in our capital improvement project for projects that really are important, like really improving the safety of Billingsley Road. Remember, the Cross-County Connector never was going to replace Billingsley Road that runs from Middletown Road to Bryan's Road. Even if that road was approved and built, the dangers still exist on a road where a lot of people live. So let's focus on improving the quality of that artery instead of holding on to, grasping at the past. The past is over, and we need to focus on the future. And that's what, that's what I've tried to do, representing you folks for the past almost 4 years. I've had a lot of exciting jobs in my life. Nothing has been more important than what I'm doing here as a Charles County Commissioner. I would be honored to be able to serve in that position for 4 more years. I'm willing to open it up for questions. And if there